So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomos, and you're all welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new and narcissism resonates with you, I invite you to join us. Like the page, share with the friends, subscribe. And for those that have always been with me, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. So there's a story from TJ. Today there's a story from TJ. TJ also decided to stay anonymous. And I'm going to play the story for you in a bit. But first of all, I would like to make it very clear, guys. The most important thing you have to understand is we are not the judges. We are not the judges. We are not the ones who do the judgment at the end of the day. If you've been dealing with a narcissist, like I've always said, you get out of there, you start healing yourself, and never look back for whichever reason. So one of the things you have got to understand is that you have got, first of all, to heal the trauma bond. One of the things I did in my journey to defeat the trauma bond was number one was forgiveness. Forgiveness, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Number one was forgiveness, and number two, I decided that I was not going to seek revenge, because the reason why actually most of the people are talking about karma and all these kind of things happening to them, this and that is just because most of the individuals, they have not healed. So they have not healed, or still they are struggling to heal. So most of the cases, it can take a while, and during that process, you can find yourself wishing everything upon the narcissist. But me, personally, what I did to defeat this whole drama, I had to forgive, number one. Number two, I decided that I'm not going to seek revenge. You know what I mean? And on top of other things, which was including the no contact and everything, I respected my boundaries. I established very strong boundaries, and I went no contact. So there are some of those things I did to make sure that I defeat the trauma bond, because now I had already known, I had awakened to the truth of what I was dealing with. So what I had to do was to actually understand what was going on and start to actually fight with it. Because this is a trauma bond. You cannot break a trauma bond in one day. It took me a while until I finally released everything, and I knew that, okay, so I was free from this kind of scenario. So the other thing, what happened in 2020, that was, I think, 2020, we were getting into 2020, because my awakening happened in 2019. So at the end of 2019, that was it was towards the new year, I had one specific prayer that I prayed to God. The only thing I prayed to God was, God can actually heal this individual. I'd already forgiven them. I'd stopped looking at them, revenging them or whatever. I didn't want anything to do with them. But I asked God for one particular thing, that God actually would look back to these guys and heal them. That's the only thing I prayed. I never did anything. I never looked for them. I never attacked them. I never abused them. I never did anything. The only thing I asked God was that God can actually come into this situation and heal these individuals, because I had finally understood what I was dealing with. Narcissistic abuse is demonic. So these individuals, they are having a demonic possession. They have a demonic possession. It's a demonic possession. Well, many of them, they know it. They don't want to accept it. Many of them fight with it. But eventually, some of them, they know what they're dealing with. But even then, there are some of those who are the lesser ones, the lesser narcissists, who have no idea what is going on. So me awakening, I understood that this thing was demonic. So it was beyond my control. It was also beyond the narcissistic control, the narcissist control. So nobody had control over this. This was demonic possession. And it was very important for me to understand this. When I knew this, that is what propelled me to let it go, to forgive them. And even then, at the end of 2019, I remember when it was coming to the new year, I had to just sit down by myself and I pray for them, that they can get redemption. They can seek Christ, and they can seek God, and they can find healing within themselves. That's the only prayer I had. Believe me, guys, after that prayer, my life started to change. My life started to change for the better. I started experiencing better things. I started seeing my life progress to the next level. So that means that actually when I let this whole thing go, not only physically but also emotionally, I started to experience a very big, massive difference and change within my life. So I noticed that actually the secret was allowing this thing to go, releasing it, forgiving them, understanding that this whole thing has nothing to do with you as a person. It was never your problem. But it has also It was never your problem, and at the same time, the narcissist does not have any control over this. This is a demonic possession. So those things, when I applied those steps, I eventually defeated and I conquered the trauma bond, and that is exactly how I became the person I am today. So I just wanted to give you that hint, guys, for the most of you who are struggling with this whole situation. Maybe you're just getting out, you're still looking for clarity, you're getting some sort of enlightenment. I just wanted to give you the hints of the things that will help you along your journey to find healing, to find recovery, and even sometimes to moving towards the best version of you. So without further delay, guys, let's step into TJ's story. Let's hear what she's got to say. And at the end of the day, like we always do, you guys all know the drill. Just leave me a comment in the section below. Let me know what exactly do you think about this whole thing. Leave me a comment. And again, for the most of you out there, you still want to share, the channel is still open. You can always send in the story. Let me know what you want me to share with the world out there. Send me your story by email, and I'm going to publish that story through our project, which is called the Empath Speak Out Project. So guys, let's listen into TJ and let's hear what her story is all about.
Thanks for allowing me to share my story. The narc abandoned me with his child for 8 years. He returns when child support is finally enforced to get 50/50 custody in an effort to be taken off of child support. He gets granted 50/50 custody. The 3 years following that, he calls the cops to my home and in front of my daughter's school on multiple occasions. He has his girlfriend harassing me, thinking we are together. Mind you, the girl is a criminal and has a record for attacking law enforcement. She even made the local news. I get sent random intimate pictures of them from her whenever they get in an argument, as if I am in the relationship as well. He puts witchcraft artifacts on my car and buries something in front of my home. I ended up in 3 car accidents that year. I end up losing 20 pounds in 1 month from throwing up every night. Doctors don't know what's wrong with me. He goes through my mailbox, opens my mail and puts it back in the mailbox. He teams up with my narc mom and narc sister and gains access to my house whenever I am not home, despite there being court documents that state every encounter has to be at a public place. As a result, I cut ties with my mother and sibling and move away to an efficiency for the sake of my sanity and safety. Every time we have to exchange the child at the set time agreed upon in court, there is a problem. He changes the time and expects me to fall in line. He even lied, telling me he'd be late when he was actually on time so that he can tell the courts that I failed to pick up my daughter. Luckily, I followed my intuition and was there at the designated time. He puts a tracker on my daughter's cell phone so he can discover where I live when I moved out of my family's house because of their collective gang stalking. The week he has my daughter, he doesn't watch her and drops her off with his family, whereas she gets no homework help and ends up failing her classes. Every pickup and drop off, he needed to talk. I kept my window up and told him to text me and drove off. My daughter sent me photos of my name being written down in some Bible-like book, as well as our judge's name. This is just to name a few of the many things that have transpired over those years. One night I cried to the Lord. I felt like he was stealing my vitality, my strength by way of this black magic. I have suffered with these people for over a decade, and in my prayer I told God I refuse to believe that these people will be my lifelong villains. I refuse to believe that these people will be the end of me. Normally when the child grows up, there is less and less drama. It was the opposite. I cried and prayed and declared that whatever the outcome, I win. I prayed for so long and cried so hard that I fell asleep early and didn't wake up until the next day. Maybe it's a coincidence, but the following morning, I get word from my daughter that she needed me to pick her up because he had died. Apparently, he went to work, passed out, and didn't make it to the hospital. To this day, the cause of death is unknown to me. I did not show up to the funeral. I received a call from his family forbidding me to come and demanding that I allow my daughter to spend the weekend there. I had my narc mother accompany my child so that she could pay her last respects, and they haven't seen her since. To this day, his family members still try to stalk me. So I have relocated and I have changed my phone number. They are still in touch with my family in hopes that they'll get new information, but since I cut my family off too, they are limited. I still allow my daughter to speak to them on her cell phone. When they ask for me, my daughter says that I'm busy, but eventually, I will change my daughter's phone number as well to completely sever the hoovering and forwarded messages. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's karma, maybe it's my prayer, I don't know. It's been over a year since he has transitioned. His mother continues to attack me spiritually by way of astral projection, dreams, so although I am still undergoing that, the worst part is over. It was a bittersweet outcome, but I feel like I has given me my life back. Signed, TJ.